Good evening. It's me. I always say that. One night I'm going to say, it's you. And it'll be a surprise. They'll all giggle.
They giggle enough at you as it is. Hey, what's happening with Saul and with David and stuff?
Well, David's kind of on the run, man. And, the story starts out tonight after King Saul died. Yep. The commander of his army tried to make one of Saul's own sons king, but that wasn't God's plan. So he didn't succeed. God told Saul that he would take the kingdom away from his family, so believe it, and give it to another man who would obey him. David. David was the man whom God had chosen. Yeah, when he was younger, remember? It was a sneaky appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of following Saul's son, people began to look to David to lead them. That's a good choice. Saul did not obey God, and he had been sick and worried while he was king, and he had not taken good care of the land of Israel. Oh, slipshod politician.
Maybe.
Then the Philistines, they had taken parts of it over again. Oh, slipped in the back door and got their stuff back.
Property.
King David, well, he fought the Philistines and drove them away. He also fought other enemies and took lands around Israel to make it bigger and stronger than ever. And wherever he fought, David, well, he took the silver and the gold back to Israel to save and to make the house of worship better. Yeah, he didn't keep it in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
We know about that. One guy tried it.
Yeah, we know.
David made Jerusalem the new royal city, and he lived there. And he brought the Ark of the Covenant.
The what?
Covenant.
Covenant.
Covenant. Whatever she said. And he had once been in, the tabernacle in Jerusalem so that the people could worship around it. Yeah, and it needs to be closer home. And the Israelites, they remembered God and worshipped him as David did. Now they're back on track. And because of this, God was with them and made them strong. Told ya. After David had been king for several years, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, make it up in your own head, and he had led the Israelites in many battles, well, he began to stay at the palace in Jerusalem and take care of his kingly duties. Does he have helpers?
Mm-hmm.
Generals?
Yeah.
He sent his general, I didn't read ahead, Joab to lead the armies. Then, one evening, David was out walking on the roof of the palace. Is he going to jump off?
No, he's not like Spider-Man or something. No.
Why is he up there?
That's where their porches are, upstairs.
Oh, that'd be good for stargazing, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay. Well, in those days, roofs were very flat, it says, and people enjoyed the sun or the breezes by walking or sitting on the rooftop. As long as I don't fall in, I'm okay with that. And while he was standing there, David, he looked down, and he saw a beautiful woman in the courtyard of another house. It must have been shorter than his.
It was.
David sent someone to find out who this woman was. He doesn't even know his own neighbors?
No. Mm-mm.
Well, word came back to David that the woman had a name, and her name was,
Hard to say?
yeah, you say it.
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba. And she was married to a soldier in David's army. So, David was disappointed when he heard this news. Why?
I think he wanted to go out on a date.
Oh, well, that won't work. And see, because he wanted to marry that woman himself. You can't do that. Then David had a wicked thought. Uh-oh. What if Bathsheba's husband were accidentally killed in battle? This is dastardly. Then he thinks like he could marry her. Oh, no, he's slipping off the track again. They were just back on track.
Well, keep reading.
Even the best of us have had bad thoughts sometimes. But when we do, we should never listen to them. That little voice, say no, no, no?
Mm-hmm.
David did listen that day, and when he did, then he forgot all about God. Oh, he listened to the bad little voice. Mm-hmm. David sent a letter to Joab, the general, and he said, hey, put Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, put him in the middle of the hardest fighting. Is this called plotting?
Yes, it is.
And when Joab did this, Uriah, the husband, he was killed just as David had planned. Oh, this is a terrible thing on your conscience. And then it says, after a little while, David brought Bathsheba to the palace, and she became one of his wives. This is not right. This is so wrong.
Keep going.
Now, God was very displeased with the way David had acted. Well, good for him. And then he sent a prophet named Nathan to David. He's going to get a lecture, I can tell. At first, Nathan did not tell David just why he had come. Instead, he told David this story. He said, once there were two men who lived in the same city. One was rich and had many flocks and herds, but the other was very poor. He had only one lamb, and the poor man had taken care of the lamb from the time it was small. It ate out of his own little dishes. Ooh, he ate leftovers. Yeah. And he sat on his little lap. And this was his own child to him, just like that. Yeah. Doggies and kitty cats become little pets like us too, like little kids.
How do you know? You never had a cat or a dog.
I know, but, I've heard. Then, one day, a visitor came. He was telling his story to see the rich man. And instead of preparing one of his own animals to feed the stranger, the rich man, he took the poor man's lamb and killed it for the visitor's dinner. Oh, man, that's not good.
Nope.
He should have just said, we're having soup tonight.
That wasn't the point. Keep going.
This story made David very angry. That rich man deserves to die, he said. He must give 4 lambs to the poor man for the payment of taking his only sweet one little lamb. Then Nathan, he looked right at David sadly and said, moral of the story, here it comes. You are that man, David, and the Lord made you king over all Israel, gave you a lovely palace home and many wives, everything you could want, but you had Uriah killed. So how's he know that?
God told him.
Oh, yeah, that was a secret. But you had Uriah killed so that you could take the only wife he had. She was like his little lamb.
Uh-huh.
You have done a very wicked thing, and the Lord is going to punish you for it. When David heard this, he realized how wrong he had been, and he was very sorry. Besides that, he had been exposed.
What's that?
Told on.
Uh-huh. Okay.
God will forgive you, Nathan told David, but because you did such a bad thing, you and Bathsheba's little baby, it will not live. Surely enough, it says, David and Bathsheba's baby became very sick. What kind of sickness? Coronavirus?
No, just some kind of sickness with a fever, probably.
Oh, okay. David was so sorry now that he had forgotten God and disobeyed him. He cried and would not eat and prayed to God to save his baby. Too late. But just as God had promised, the baby died. Wow, it wasn't even the kid's fault.
Nope.
And when the baby died, people were afraid to tell David that, but he noticed everyone standing around whispering, psst, 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 psst. And suddenly he knew what had happened. It is true that my child is dead, he asked. Is it? Oh, sorry. It's a question. "Is it true that my child is dead?" he asked. And the servant said, "Yes." They were sad, and they wondered what David would do now that he knew. How surprised they were to see David quit the crying and praying. He washed himself up and he would go to the house of the Lord for worship. He's straightening up his act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then for the first time since the baby had been sick, he sat down to eat. Oh, he knows what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And when David saw the servants looking strangely at him for acting this way, he turned to them and said, get ready for something profound. While my child was alive, I prayed, thinking that perhaps God would let him live. But now that he is dead, I cannot bring him back to life.
Mm-mm.
He can never be here with me again. But I know that someday I can go and be with him in heaven. You sure?
Yep. Forgiveness. Whole nother topic we got to talk about someday.
Yeah, it's a big long one, I hear.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, David had done some very wicked things, but he had been very sorry about it, and he had promised God never to do anything like that again. He knew that God believed his promise and would help him be strong enough to keep it, so that someday he could live in heaven with his child and with God himself. So later on, God gave David and Bathsheba another baby, and it's got a name.
What's his name?
Solomon. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, you've heard about that.
This boy grew up to be a king after his father David. King Solomon! I've heard about him.
Okay, well, you just left him on this page being a baby.
Oh my gosh, wearing diapers?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess everybody has to start out someplace in life, you know. Like me, I was hatched from an egg.
I don't think so.
You sure?
I'm sure.
She keeps saying I have a tag on my back that says I'm from a toy store, but I'm pretty sure I was hatched from an egg. Yeah. Anyway, okay, kids, snuggle down, pull your covers up, and dream about